everyone. I'm Linda Nickell. Charlie Hickman and Leslie Sessoms are the moderators, as well as myself, for the Facebook page, Texas Women Photographers Circle. Some of you may not be on Facebook, so that's okay. We've created an Instagram page at Texas Women Photographers, and we will post all of the monthly meetings so that you can join us. Every month, I will introduce you to a guest that will inspire you to try something new. Our guest tonight is Martha Montiel. Martha is a landscape photographer based just outside of Denver, Colorado. Her landscape images are grand, and they will grab your attention and spark a little wanderlust if you spend any time on her Instagram page. Martha spends a lot of time exploring her home state, but she's a traveler by nature. So it's not unusual for her to load up her gear and head out to a national park and other public lands to find her next adventure. Oftentimes, her road trips are solo, and I thought she'd be a valuable resource on sharing some tips on solo travel, especially for women. So in tonight's presentation, Solo Travel Adventures, Tips for Female Photographers, Martha is going to help you prepare for your next solo photography adventure. She's going to share her planning process and offer tips to get you ready for a solo trip that will help you feel safer and more prepared for your next adventure. You can connect with Martha through her website, marthamontielphotography.com, and through her Instagram, Martha Montiel Photography. So welcome to the Texas Women Photographers Circle, Martha. And first, let me thank you for doing this presentation for us. So let's go ahead and just own up. We are not strangers. So Martha, I can't remember. We've talked, we've actually visited, and so I can't remember how I stumbled across you, but I know Instagram brought you to my world. And through some conversations, you're like, if you ever come to Colorado, I'm like, do not say come to visit, because I will take advantage of that every time. And this past fall, I said, Martha, I've got a free weekend, and it worked out. She did too. And she was gracious enough to host me in her home state. And we ran the roads. We had a great time. I had a great time. She was probably exhausted.
We had a great time. Yeah.
And so Martha she does stuff that I'm not comfortable doing, and that is car camping and hiking and getting on trails, especially with her gear. And I admire that. I wish I could do that. And so me being who I am, I talk to a lot of female photographers, and a lot of people are not afraid to get out there and do what she's doing, but there are a lot of people like myself, they're just a little intimidated. So I thought this would be a great topic for our women's group and a women's photography group. So she's going to mix in some safety tips, some ideas that she does for herself to keep herself safe, as well as what she does with her photography gear and how you travel with that. So with that, thank you for doing this. I'm going to give.
So happy to be here. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
You're
having
welcome.
me.
Yeah. All right, go for it. It's all yours.
All right, guys. Well, first of all, I want to apologize because I have a horrible cold. So I'm trying not to cough and sneeze, but my eyes look like they're running out. But yeah, so like Linda said, we're on the road. We're in California. We're headed home. And this time I'm not alone. My husband's with me. And I found a public library to do this. So hopefully it's all going to work out. But yeah, so anyway, I'll start sharing my screen and then we'll go from there. So yeah, I don't know how many of you guys do solo travel for photography or any hiking or anything like that. But yeah, I do it all the time. I go on my own or I go with my husband, and I get too lazy to get up and, for the sunrise, like, and then drive like an hour to the location. So I end up doing like car camping or tent camping, which can be a little nerve wracking, but you kind of get used to it. So I'm hoping that this presentation is gonna help you get prepared and kind of motivated to go on your first solo adventure. Um, I know that as women, we need to be extra cautious and more prepared when venturing out on our own. Um, it doesn't mean like men don't have to do it, but we just have to be like more careful about it and more conscious and mindful of our actions. Yeah, I mean, it really sucks because it shouldn't be like men versus women, but that's just what it is, right? So hopefully this is gonna help you out a little bit. I'll just basically share what I do, and I'm hoping that you guys are gonna find it useful. First of all, a little bit about me. I think Linda covered a lot of it, but I'm actually I'm from all over the place. I was born in Mexico City. I lived in California most of my life, and now I'm based in Colorado. I started doing photography when I was like, I always did it, but I actually kind of mainly really focused on it like 5 years ago. And it just has continued to fuel my love for adventure and just being out there outside. Um, I know this is a women's photography group. I have my own group that I created in Colorado, and it's just basically like just for anybody in Colorado or Colorado-based women. Um, Oops, the light's going down. Um, so yes, I started doing that. I wanted to meet people to go shoot with, and I didn't have anybody, so I was like, well, I'll just make my own group. So that's how and I think I started in November, December last year. We've had one meetup so far, and I kind of create like projects for them to do, and then we criticize them, and it's a really neat group. A lot of women are super glad that this is there because they're like, we wanted, people to go shoot with or people like us, and that they're happy that there's no guys in there. So um so yes, it's working out pretty good. um okay, so my outline today is going to be like, why should you go on your own, planning, sharing, trusting, camping must-haves, and what's in my bag. And I'll share some photos of like the photos that you'll see on this presentation are photos that I've taken when I'm on my own. Um, so this one, for instance, is in Teton, and this was last fall. I do get nervous when I go camping. This one especially because I think there had just been a murder um, recently, and it wasn't anything like just random people. It was like that boyfriend that killed his girlfriend. But that was like on my mind. So, but that wasn't going to stop me from going out and doing what I wanted to do. So instead of camping, I stayed in my car, and but I barely slept. So I always sleep with a bear spray next to me. And I use it mainly just like a security blanket, but I couldn't sleep. So I got up and went out and, shot. So this is one shot from that trip. Um, and these are two like from that same trip. During the day when I go scouting, I kind of I was looking for moose, but I couldn't find any moose, but I found this little guy, and I just kind of start scouting the area and see what I can find. And I try to not limit myself to wanting to shoot just like sunsets or sunrises. So these two photos, the little ones, are just plain daylight. So I was just kind of playing with settings and stuff. Okay, so why should you go camping on your own, right? Or why should you travel on your own? Well, why shouldn't you? Like it's actually like a great way. There's like so much that you can gain from this, right? It builds confidence. So being alone means that you depend on yourself. You also get to know yourself better. You discover that you're much more capable than you thought that you previously thought. Things that you thought that you needed someone else's help with, you find out that you can actually do on your own. Um, and then you kind of get this badass feeling because I'm like, yeah, I can do it. So you develop a sense of independence. So that it's really good for that. It's empowering. So just as I mentioned, solo travel builds confidence. It leaves you, you leave your comfort zone and you start trusting your own instincts, being confident in your decisions and embracing opportunities that may push your personal boundaries. So you kind of start believing more in yourself. You get time alone. Um, it's all about you when you're, solo travel. You get to focus on yourself and no one else. It sounds selfish, but it's not, because you actually get to be like a better person because of it. And it's a good time to step back and reassess like your own life or your whatever you need to think about it. You think about like your job, your hobbies, whatever. So it gives you time to think. Um, it gives you peace and quiet. I don't know how many of you guys are moms or have like demanding husbands or whatever, but this time alone is just, again, it gives you time to just think. When you travel alone, you don't get anybody like demanding things from you. You enjoy the sounds of nature and you enjoy the sounds of the voices in your head, and that might be good or not, but that's all you get. Um, there's no waiting around. This one, I kind of always feel guilty because when we go when I take my husband, he's so good at it, about it, but he's always waiting on me, and I kind of feel guilty that he's just kind of sitting there and waiting. And when you go by yourself, nobody's waiting for you. You're not waiting for anybody, so you can spend 2 minutes or 2 hours in one composition that might not even work, but you don't have that feeling that somebody's waiting on you. So there's that. You get to recharge. We all need time to get recharge and get invigorated. So you come back invigorated and feeling better. So you're probably a better person back at home when you come back. And yeah, and you get to know yourself too. So there's that. And that photo too is actually from Colorado here. I was trying to find like a location that I wanted. And I kept driving back and forth on this road, and I saw these aspens that were like orange and yellow and green. So I kind of stopped and kind of took the photo. So and again, like nobody was waiting around on me, so I kind of felt free to just do that. And it's fun, it's really fun to go out and travel by yourself. Okay, so planning and expectations. So research and planning are crucial to successful adventure. So planning is key. So where you're going to go, start by deciding where you're going to go. Have a plan. Research the area that you're going to travel to. The more you know, the better prepared you are. Make a list of things that you will need, from sleeping supplies to camera equipment. I plan my routes on Google Maps and figure out how long it takes to get from one location to the next. I print my routes in case I end up in a place with no cell service. Figure out how long it takes to get from point A to point B. And if you're stopping for meals, include that time in your timeline. What's your goal? Like, what do you want to shoot? What kind of photos are you planning to do? Do you want to be there for sunrise or sunset? Does that matter? I always avoid arriving at a new location in the dark. I like to get to know the area where I'm going to be before I just get there. So plan on arriving early and then scout and figure out where you're going to sleep. You got to do your research. It's essential to figure out if the place that you're going has a campground or is an area with public lands where it's okay to camp. Are there restrooms nearby? I like to figure out the restroom situation as soon as I arrive. I don't want to be stuck in a bad situation. Also check the weather. I know it changes constantly, but at least you'll have an idea what to expect. Do you get yourself familiar with the animal situation? That's super important. Are there bears in the area? Do you need to have a canister or bear spray? What about your food? Where are you gonna put it? So yeah, so know the animal situation before you get there in case you encounter wildlife, you will know what to do. And like I mentioned before, like I always sleep with a bear spray near me, whether I'm in a tent or in the car. This works on humans too, and usually those are the ones that I'm most afraid of. So just I always have a can of bear spray with me. If you're traveling, that might be like if you're traveling by plane and then going on an excursion, that might be harder um, to plan for, but you can always rent them if you're going to a national park or something. Or you can buy them and then give them to them, when you leave. So you don't have to take it on the plane. Um, I also include time for hiking and scouting. My hikes occur during the day, giving me time to get to know the area and figure out the story I want to tell about the location. It will also help you figure out the photo opportunities there. So don't like you might have a location that you're going to, and then you're like, I want this shot. But when you scout, you get a chance to like figure out like, oh, this is actually way better than that. So so you can plan the shots that you want during the day, so you don't have to be worrying about that last minute. Um, know your abilities. So whatever you do, know how far you can push yourself, and then respect that. That's especially important when you're by yourself. Um, so now, oh yeah, it's school time. Oops, sorry. So these photos are like from Colorado. And I was by myself. I actually ended up, so the photos on the right, the little ones, are the ones that I was trying to get when I showed you the Aspen photo before. It was such an adventure because I wanted to get to this spot and I drove to it like probably like 3 or 4 times, and it's probably like a 7 mile ride on a dirt road, so it's not easy to get to. Um, but for one reason or another, I kept going back and forth, and I couldn't get to it. I finally like decided like, okay, I'm gonna go for it because it's my last day. So I started driving to this location, and a storm came by, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, seriously. So I turned around. I was like, well, I'm going back because if I get stuck back there, I'm just gonna be by myself. There's no cell service, and then if it starts snowing, I'm really stuck. So I kind of pulled back, and then I started driving it out, and it's like, well, I'll wait the storm out. I'll have dinner in my car, and then if it gets better, then I'll turn around and I'll go back. So I did that. I just sat in the car, ate my dinner, um, and the sun started kind of coming out. The clouds are moving, so I like turned around the car and I gunned it back to the location because I wanted to make it for sunset. And I was there with like 3 other people. Like everybody else, like nobody showed up because it was storming, so it was really pretty. So the sun cleared out. The one on the right is just sunrise. It's the Dallas Divide, so that's like off the road, kind of easy access. So yeah, like so you're gonna end up having stories about your photos, like because there's always an adventure. Okay, so share. This is really important. Um, I'm gonna click on all these ones and then I'll start talking about it. So once you have a plan and you know the days and time frame that you will be at each place, share that information with someone. This can be someone at home, a close friend, a travel buddy, your partner at home, and whoever. Like so, just have somebody back at home that knows all your plans and share your maps and your locations and all that stuff that you're planning to do. Um, this information. So yeah, share with somebody at home. If possible, leave a copy of your Google routes and plan with them and all your plans with them. The specific routes you plan on taking and the date and time that you plan on arriving at each location, as well as how long you plan on staying there. Let them know your plan on when you plan on returning home. It is also good to have a check-in call with a person at the beginning and at the end of the day. You will often find that you're in an isolated location without cell service, and that's the beauty of like going on these trips, right? Because you want to be alone and away from everything, but you're gonna have to plan your calls and all that. So planning ahead for this can save you a headache. Oftentimes there's like a nearby town with cell service that you can identify during your trip. Some phones have a feature that you can track people, so you can turn that on and they can track you where you're at every time, every minute during the day. So activating this feature helps the person communicate and see where you are. And they can find you, so, should something go like terribly wrong, hopefully not. Also give them your vehicle description and license plate number if they don't already have it. This might sound obvious, but don't announce it on Instagram or social media or anywhere. Like if you're traveling alone, don't tell people about it. And don't post your photos because people can geotag and find you, and there's creepy people out there. There will be time for you to post after your trip. When leaving your car for a hike or a scout session, leave your route in a semi-hidden spot in your car. You can also leave it like on the dashboard facing down. If somebody needs to look for you, they will know, where to start. They'll kind of have an idea. And I think like emergency people know this, so they if they see a car, they'll look inside for clues to where that person might be, so they can start looking. So always leave like your routes or your hikes hidden, so they can at least you have a chance. So yeah, don't geotag, leave your route in there. Trust your instincts. When you have women's have like a specific intuition and know when something is not correct. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Trust your gut and remove yourself from that situation if something is bothering you. Be aware of your surroundings and always carry like bear spray or pepper spray. And as I mentioned earlier, this works well in two-legged animals. There's, however, a difference between your gut telling you something's wrong and having anxiety about being solo. So you have to learn to know the difference. Don't let that keep you from having like the best adventure in your time. Okay, your camping essentials. So like Linda says, I camp in my car or sometimes I camp in a tent. And I just kind of decide on the go, like what I'm gonna do. If there's a storm, I don't want to be outside, so I'm just gonna sleep in my car. If it's, a lot of the times I have a campground, but I just feel safer in my car, so I'll sleep in my car, or I'll set up my tent. So it depends. So the way I do it, so my advice is to plan for both sleeping in your car and sleeping in a tent. You can decide how you want to proceed when you get to the location you're going. Do your seats go down? Do you have a thermarest or something that you can use as a cushion? I found a queen size memory mattress at Costco. So we cut it in half and that fits perfectly in the back of my car. So I kind of roll it, put it in the trunk. And then when I'm gonna camp in my car, I put the seats down, I put the mattress, put my sleeping bag, and it's like the best bed ever. So it's super comfortable. So yeah, this one fits pretty good in my car. You can also use like a mattress cot or like a thermarest. Thermarest are very thin, but they work well just because you don't want to feel the seams in between the seats in the car. My sleeping bag is down and it packs pretty small, so I use it in the car and when tent camping. I also found packable down blankets. They pack small enough and they add extra warm when when necessary. Bring a pillow. There's no need to be uncomfortable, so just bring pillows, blankets, whatever you need. Some people use window shades for their car. I don't have that. I've never used them, but they do give you extra privacy should you need it. In camping lights, you can hang them on your door and then you can have lights inside. So those are pretty good. Cooking supplies, I have like a camping stove, waterproof matches, utensils, a plate, a water filter, insulated water bottle, fire starter, thermos, and a cooler. So these are all good. I try to pack like meals that I can eat easily without actually having to make a meal. There's always trips that you can make into town. I get bored of eating whatever I brought, so I'll just go to the grocery store and find something. I always go out for coffee. I bring my stuff to make coffee, but I always go out for coffee. So you can have it, and then if you need it, you use it. If you don't, you don't. So where else? Like sanitary items, quick dry towel, a regular towel, a shiwi. Oh my God, that thing is the best. I hate, like, if I'm in a tent or car camping, I hate getting up in the middle of the night and going, to the bathroom by myself. So I don't know if you guys have seen those, but the shiwi is kind of like a cup that you can use to be like a guy. So I mean, you have to practice in the shower because those are not easy to use, but those are like, you can just get up and pee and then go back to bed, and you don't have to go out like far away. Um, so those are super handy. Toilet paper, wipes, sandals. Some campgrounds have coin showers. I mostly just use like wipes to like wipe myself. Um, and the sandals are like, when you go into the showers, it's just extra hygiene, and it's nice to get like a hot shower once in a while. So I've done it at Teton where I just go and shower. Um, your essentials, like first aid kit, a headlamp, air spray, bug spray, a day pack, headlamp, a bin for your cooking supplies, cooler, hat, sunscreen, bug repellent, wipes, etc. The extra essentials that make a difference is like camping chair, a hammock, books, a roll of duct tape, an army knife, solar card charger for your camera or for your phone. The duct tape is, you can do so many things with that. So it's like super handy to have like your pants rip, your backpack, you have a whatever, like it's really handy to have. So I always have that in my bag. Um, okay, so what's in my bag? I actually just got a new camera bag, which I'm super excited about. It's like an Atlas bag. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Um, but it's important to have like a comfortable backpack, especially if you're hiking with your equipment, right? So this one, like I used to always get like tons of like back pains and shoulder pain. This one fits perfectly, so I can hike for miles, and I can have all my equipment. You can put like a water bladder on it, so you can kind of drink. You can have your raincoat, your snacks, whatever. So it's important to have like a good backpack. um, Memory cards, tripod, extra battery, lenses. Plan on your like what you're thinking. Like you take 2 or 3 lenses if you don't have to take everything. A notebook and pen, because sometimes if you're scouting the area, you kind want to make notes of what is it that you caught your attention, or where it is, or like the time of day, or whatever. Rain cover for your bag. Um, it's also good to have like just like a plastic bag, extra. You can cover your bag. You can use it for your feet if you get wet. Um, excuse me. A cleaning kit for your lenses, an extra tripod plate. That one's like super important just because I've lost tripod plates like so many times. So now I buy like 3 or 4 and put them in my bag. Because I found myself in a situation where like, oh crap, I've lost. Now I can't do like any like night shooting or like long exposure or whatever because my camera can attach to my tripod. So I always have extra of those. Your filters and your remote. These photos are in Colorado. So I had done like a girls hiking trip um, for a weekend, and so I stayed extra days, and then I camped the day before, like before we met and after. Then I went scouting for the area. So this photo on the bigger one, um, it was like shortly after sunrise. So it was like I was super excited. I was just like a little girl, like giddy, um, finding all these locations. And the other two is the same. Like it's the same day. I had hiked over a pass with my friends, so I kind of wanted to go back and do the same thing, but I didn't have the energy, so I just kind of found like the ones that were nearby and shot them. Um, okay, so some useful apps that I use when planning my trips, and you guys probably know like a lot of these ones already. Um, Google Maps and Google Earth. They're super helpful for planning your routes. Google Earth can show you what the specific location looks like, and it's available for both iPhone and Android. Gaia maps. You can use Gaia GPS to navigate and explore different areas. You can drop waypoints, plan routes, record tracks, and follow your current location with a free download. This works for off-road camping, and there's also like a premium paid version that you can get. And I think all these apps, they're all iPhone and Android. The Dirt, this is like an app for planning and camping locations. You can get access to all campsites listing in the US, including national parks, state parks, county parks, the BLM, KOA, Good Sam, Thousand Trails, and private parks. All that stuff is available with the free version. There's also a paid pro membership that you can use. The iOverlander. This one's excellent for finding locations off the beaten path. In addition, for searching places and amenities, you can also contribute to it. So if you find something that is like, oh, this should be on it, you can contribute and add it to that. So if they don't have it in the database, they'll add it. This app works without cell service and it's free to use. Again, Android and iPhone. NPS.org, that's used like for the national parks, so you can reserve like your campsites. I always do it way ahead of time. Then if I'm not going to use it, then I can cancel it or sell it or let it go, but you have to plan ahead on that one. Windy app is like a weather app. It's a comprehensive weather app to help you plan your shoots. It includes cloud coverage, wind, snow, and all the features are available for free. It takes a little while to get used to it, but once you play with it, you'll figure it out. It's not too bad. And PhotoPills, which I'm sure a lot of you guys use. It's a great app for planning your photos. It requires some learning and getting used to. It's not something you download last minute because you're gonna have to learn to use it. And this one's paid, so you have to pay for that one, but it's really worth it. And that one's also available for iPhone and Android. And then Garmin InReach, that's not an app, but that's like super helpful to have. You can stay connected on and off the grid. You can send and receive messages, navigate your route, track and share your location. And if necessary, you can trigger an SOS or 24/7 staff will get the emergency response and coordination. So that one's like really helpful to have. That one's paid as well. And you know, you have to buy the thing, but then you have to pay for the subscription. And that's it. Like mainly, like I always say, like leave no trace, pick up more than you brought, and just keep nature safe. And I love, if you guys know me, I love quotes. So I just included this one. There's like, if your actions create a legacy that inspire others to dream more, do more, and become more, then you're an excellent leader. And that is it.
That was a lot. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that you actually carry the Garmin, don't you? Is that
Yes.
that's your bag? Okay.
Yeah.
So, ladies, if you'd like to ask any questions, throw those in the chat. I'm going to go through them really quick. So I just saw a question from Christy. She's curious, have you had any scary experiences traveling alone?
I've had like, so I run people, into people on the trail, and I'm always like, I try to be super friendly. So people ask me this and that, or like they kind of seem like they're trying to get information from you, like, oh, like, so I'll chat with them, and they're like, my husband's waiting, or my friends are waiting, like up ahead, like, so I can't really stay. So that way they know that I'm not alone, or so they don't know that I'm alone. I think the scariest one, it was just this last fall, and it's just I couldn't sleep because I had that in my mind that that person had killed his girlfriend. So so I was in my car, and every time I would hear a sound, like I would get up and look, and I would so I didn't sleep that night. But I had my bear spray with me, but nothing has ever happened to me. No.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I think it's because, so I met you once, but I'm just, you have a lot of common sense and a lot of street smart, and you carry yourself very confidently. And I somebody asked me one time, because I don't camp alone. I did
Mhm.
it once. I hated it. Not doing it again alone.
And I
Actually,
asked you like if you wanted to camp, and you're like, no.
no. I mean, I think that I would be very tempted with you because you're not camping in middle of nowhere, West Texas. You're in Colorado and it's beautiful and there's mountains and there's wildflowers. And so I think I would be tempted just by the scenery. But no, I'm not doing that in Texas because I'm a big chicken and I'm okay with that. But
I actually just remember like I was camping, I was with a friend, and we had hiked Kings Canyon. We were like hiking 40 miles, and so it's like during one of the nights I was terrified because I was like I heard a noise and it was like kept going at my tent. I'm like, oh my god, there's a bear. Like, oh crap, there's a bear. Um, so I told her like, hey, I think there's a bear. It's like, no, there's nothing. Like, no, there's a bear. Um, so she wouldn't get up. So I just kind of scooted closer to her. And then in the morning we realized I had made the mistake of leaving like the wrapper of a food thing that I had eaten. So it was like a squirrel trying to eat it,
or
spit it
raccoon,
out.
something.
Yeah, 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 something. But yeah,
But
no,
you
it's
never know. And I mean, in the dark, things get bigger and scarier, and we can't see it. I don't blame you for being a little. I would have been freaked out. I've been freaked out over small things. It's embarrassing. Julia has a question for you. When you're sleeping in your car, how do you fit the rest of your stuff? Are you sleeping next to your cooler? How do you pack
so
it?
So so I put I should have taken photos. So I have a plastic bin where I keep all the like the dry food. I always have like a little cooler with the stuff that I want to keep cold. But it's like very small. And then I end up putting it like in the front seat on the floor, and then the bin in the front seat, on one of the front seats in the car. Um, the mattress, I kind of put it, it just takes like the whole back of my car. I have an SUV, so it just kind of takes everything. I'm pretty small, like not small, thin, but small, short. So I kind
Same
of sit on the
thing.
one, yeah. So I fit on one side, and then I put like my backpack and all my equipment on the other side. Um, and again, like I don't put like the window covers on the side of the car, but I put the one in the front. Um, so if people wanted to come and see, they could see what I'm doing. We also have a roof box. I don't use it as much just because I'm super short, so I have to climb in the car and try to like figure out and open it. Um,
Yeah.
excuse me, but yeah, everything kind of ends up fitting. And then when I'm done sleeping, I roll up the if I'm in my car, I roll up the mattress, put up the seat, and then that kind of fits in the bag. I put my backpack and everything in the bag in the trunk. And then I just keep like small cooler in front. I always have extra thermos too, and I fill them with ice. So I have cold water, and then it can kind of melt, and I have just several thermos of water.
Um, Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. So either you covered it or people are realizing I maybe they have it down. So if you or that are in the room have any tips that Martha didn't mention that work for
Yeah.
you, free, please put those in the chat so we can all see those. Martha, I'm going to thank you for doing this presentation because I know that this is not your favorite thing to do, and I'll admit I'll twist your arm. I'll make you, I'll guilt you into something. And I, I'm not above blackmail. So, um, but I'm
Yeah, let
super,
me know if there's like anything else that you guys want to know that I might not have covered.
yeah.
And then I can always, send it to Linda. And I'm always down, like, so Julia knows, and Julie, and I do it, like, I've gone to Canada. So, like, if I'm gonna go somewhere, I reach out, like, oh, hey, you want to meet up and shoot? I was gonna try to meet Julia here, and I just ran out of time, so I couldn't do it. But I'm always down to meet up people, whatever, or if they come to Colorado, like, let's meet up.
Yeah, that's how it works for me. It's like hey, can I come hang out? And she's like, hey, why don't you just stay at my house? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. Yeah.
It was a fun weekend, and I appreciate it. All right, Martha, thank you very much. Ladies, you can
Thank
connect with
you for
Martha.
having me.
You're very welcome. Ladies, you can connect with Martha at marthamontielphotography.com, and I'll include that in the links and the show notes because this will go into YouTube. If you're on Instagram, you can look for her at Martha Montiel Photography. And then next month, June 2nd, Karen Riley is going to join us with her presentation, Artist Statements About Me, Headshot, and Why You Need Them. So please keep an eye on the Facebook and Instagram pages for upcoming programs. And I guess until next month, please, please, please stay creative.